Hello and greetings from Iceland. It's been a while since my last update, and I've been focused on filming, for example, the Icelandic Spring, which looked like this just a few days ago, and it's getting a bit better now, as you can see from this clip, from the same location just a few days later. So I've been in the mood for working on my print-on-demand stores, sharing the Icelandic spring feeling on mugs and other goods, until I finally found a good enough reason to do this update, which covers two locations. And I do actually have more in store for you, since things are a bit shaky, and I'm saving that video for later, and we start today in Grindavík, with a report from the Met Office saying that we have now over 25 million cubic meters of magma under Svartsengi just by the Blue Lagoon, or more than ever before. And this volume suggests an eruption may be inevitable, which is fresh news, because just a few weeks ago, scientists were beginning to doubt that this sequence of events would end up with an eruption. Likely because for a while it looked as the ground uplift had flatlined. So this is just another sample of how unpredictable this scenario is every time, and it could easily lead to unexpected challenges regarding the location and the behavior of the next eruption, like I've actually covered in recent updates. And I don't have much to add to them now, other than a committee on the town's reconstruction program has advised against opening schools the next fall, and recommends that families with children do not move back yet. And this is a definite setback, although it is not in itself surprising given the situation right now. Grindavík's role today revolves first and foremost about the port facilities and the local fish processing plants. So to open up the schools would be a big step forward. And I'm going to continue to cover this topic because the debates are ongoing. And me, as other Icelanders, are waiting for new information about the unclear administrative framework that has been formed around the future of the village. So that system cannot even explain its own role or information that I need for my coverage about the future of the village, hopefully coming soon. And the other issue that I'm covering today is something that I haven't covered in an update before, although I have mentioned it indirectly from time to time. And I'm talking about the South Iceland seismic zone, which is a certain extension of the Reykjanes Peninsula seismic zone. And just days ago, it was hit with unusual earthquake swarm. Not serious, but strong enough to raise certain questions. Questions like how much tension has accumulated on this part of the plate boundaries since the last major seismic episode there between 2000 and 2008. And going back in time, I frequently heard news about predictions regarding the South Iceland seismic zone, and scientists of that time were unafraid to express their opinions. And it turned out that they got things quite right. So it was not a total surprise when we experienced two earthquakes in June 2000 with magnitudes of 6.6 and 6.5. And experts made it clear almost immediately that only a part of the accumulated tectonic strain had been released, perhaps as little as 25%. And we should therefore expect the seismic activity to shift westward, which was the case in 2008, when the so-called Hveragerði earthquake struck almost under that village. And since then, experts have been less willing to predict the future, despite technological advancements such as GPS and INSAR. And not even the Icelandic Science Web was very helpful when I went browsing for the most important information. So it took me a while to see that only around 50% of accumulated tectonic strain had been released between 2000 and 2008. And additionally, the large slip in 2000 was very localized and not spreading across the whole transform zone. And the time moves on. And when we add 18 more years of additional strain since the last earthquake, it leaves us with actually way more tension in this region than I somehow expected from the general discussions since 2008, or should we say the lack of general discussions. And I'm now under the impression that we are actually in a very similar situation as we were before the earthquakes in 2000. Likely though with less built-up unreleased tension, but still more than enough for a large event. So from now I will look at this region a bit differently than I did just a week ago. And it was mainly curiosity that made me look closely at the earthquakes the other day. And it didn't help my curiosity to see that the tremor monitors went offline shortly after the earthquake started. And until then, they were showing plenty of action. But still now, a few days later, the 3 closest monitoring stations are still offline. And I have no clue why. So this could of course just be a technical issue. But I would have liked to see the tremor chart, how it developed over these days. Although it is not as I'm expecting a major event there soon. Before any such event, I would expect way more seismic activity. So this update could end up as pointless or the first chapter of a longer story that takes some time to unfold. And that's why I'm mentioning this now. And furthermore, it has been on my plan to make a video about this seismic zone, or one of my longer videos that I can refer to when I need during updates, but this location just hasn't been a priority until now. And I had actually planned to do a filming tour to Hekla volcano in the next few months, and that famous and expanding volcano is actually by the end of the seismic zone. So it fits well to do the volcano and the seismic zone in one tour. The Hekla footage I have now is just bits and pieces from here and there, and I have even less footage from the South Iceland seismic zone, so I'm already planning the summer, if it will be so kind to honor us with its appearance this year. And with that, I'm sending you best regards from the volcano island, Iceland.